Hello, hello. Okay, guys, I know I'm late again. What's new? I just had a parent totally call me out. All right, so we're going to talk today a little bit. Oh, gosh, it's so late. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit today about some news that I have. I don't know if I shared it with you yet, but I'm excited about it because um, it was pretty big news to me. And I shared this on my group the other day, and I forget which one I share it with. So you guys got to join the group because I share with them a lot. And I am not on here as much anymore. As you guys know, I'm on the group a lot more. So, what is really cool about this IEE thing is it will make a huge difference because school systems are saying this across the board, and I think it's really important. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Raven Woods, and I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks, the IEP, and I help parents gain the knowledge and the confidence to become the CEO of their IEP meeting. A downfall about me, I'm just going to tell you right now, I am late, okay? I have a child with autism who is really good, and she goes to Linda Mood Bell during the day, and she knows that she doesn't have a one-on-one with her at Linda Mood Bell, all right? Because she's a big girl. And so she holds everything in, and so when she gets home, she flips. And she goes to her room, and she loses it for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then she's back on track. But we never know when that's going to happen. So hopefully you guys are understandable with that. You understand that. And so that's one of the reasons I'm late. But I apologize, but I'm always here, okay? So with that said, post a 1 below if you are new to catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie, okay? So I'm going to tell you about an IEP today too that was not good at all. And I ended up in tears with the parent after the meeting, not because anything happened like that I did or they did or anything like that. But it was just an emotional experience for me because I get so attached and connected not only with my parent but with the student that I'm advocating for, that when the school systems purposefully do things to not support a student, I get extremely emotional. So I'll let you know about that in a second. So, IEEs. Did you know, okay, and I have the law, and I will post it in a tip of the week tomorrow in a picture for you. So you can take a picture of it or keep the picture or whatever you want to do. But have you guys ever asked for an IEE after an evaluation was done and the school system says to you, okay, and, because it's either due process or they let you do the IEE, and they try to kind of dictate what they're going to allow you to get, or they give you some sort of packet and say, this is the cap financially that we approve. Have you guys ever gotten that? Well, they can't do that. Let me say that again. They cannot do that. And that is in idea. And I was reading it because I like to read the law. I know I'm crazy, but I like to read it a lot, like a lot. And I'm always learning something new. Even though I know a lot, I always learn something new in reading it and how it's written. And sometimes I'm just reading it to figure something out and put two things together with a state statute and the federal law. And it specifically says that the school system cannot put a cap on the amount of an IEE. The person who you go to cannot be dictated by them, but they do have to be qualified. So let me explain that so you never get into that dip of a question and then there's this confrontation. So if you're going and you're getting a speech evaluation or an OT evaluation, then obviously you're going to go to a speech therapist that's licensed or an occupational therapist that's licensed. If you're doing a psychoeducational, then you need to go at minimum to a psychologist. You can go to a neurologist. You can go to a developmental pediatrician. But do you see what I'm saying? So you need to make sure you go to the qualified individual who's qualified to do that type of test. All right. And you can't just go to here's what kills me. All right. So in one of my cases that is going to due process, the school system had a diagnostician. All right. It was called an assessment diagnostician. All right. Do you guys have those in your states? They don't have those here where I am. Like I actually had to look it up and figure out what their educational base was and that. Because what was weird is the educational diagnostician or the assessment whatever the hell she was. So it's like a teacher who gets like some sort of certification assessments or something that they can give minimal assessments. They cannot give a psychoeducational, which this diagnostician did. She gave a full psychoed, and you can't do that. Then here's what happened. Here's the kicker. This is so freaking crazy. This is what I'm dealing with. Not only did this diagnostician do the whole psychoeducational evaluation, she didn't sign that she did it. The psychologist signed the evaluation. So the diagnostician did it without the psychologist present from the school. They both work for the school. The psychologist signed it. There were 4 dates put on the evaluation. The student was not there, 3 of them. The 4th date that the student was there, he only had, because he has a nurse with him, so he only had 50 minutes in that day because he got there late and he left early because he had a doctor's appointment. And the other 3 days he had a doctor's appointment, so it's completely, you can prove it. So anyway, 3 of those dates, the child wasn't there. 1 of them, they only had 50 minutes. So according to the school system, they did a psychoeducational, a speech, an OT, and I think it was an FBA in 50 minutes. Oh yeah, that's what I'm dealing with. But seriously though, you don't have to agree to an IEE if it's capped. All right. Here's the other thing. Is in an IEE, the school system a lot of the times will tell you that you can only get equal to. So if you had a psycho ed and you had an occupational therapy and you had a speech, well, you got to find out which assessments you're getting. You know, there's different speech assessments. There's different occupational therapy assessments. And a psychoeducational, that doesn't mean anything to me. It sounds like a big word, a psychoeducational evaluation, which is supposed to be a full and conclusive evaluation. But it's only full and conclusive if you do a full and conclusive assessment, meaning the test, the type of test. All right. So a full and conclusive evaluation is not one test like the Wyatt or the Whisk. All right. It is a full assessment. So it can be, the Wyatt and the Whisk are not bad. They're just general. All right. They give you a little bit of reading, a little bit of math, you know, the IQ and this, that, and the other. But it doesn't give you a whole lot of detail. If you look at a psychoeducational and you just look at that part, all right, with where they say reading or they say, you know, math or, you know, they give a number for the IQ, what does it normally tell you? Pull it out, look at it, read it. It doesn't go into detail of your child, you know, is not comprehending very well and this is what's going on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Or your child is only doing 2-digit subtraction and is having trouble with this, 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 and this. It doesn't say that. Go read it. And so for me, an evaluation goes in depth as to what does this child know and don't know, okay? Where's that fine line? Where's their present level and baseline of where they need to start so that they can then go and progress? And you and I and the educators will then know where the baseline is and where we're headed to, versus, oh, you know, reading is this and has trouble, you know, reading with comprehension, blah, blah, blah. And it gives you no information. I should have one in front of me, but I don't. And that's extremely frustrating. But at the end of the day, always disagree with an evaluation from your school, even if you do agree. Okay? That sounds stupid, doesn't it? Even if you agree to your evaluation, a full evaluation that you had the school do, disagree on purpose, even though you can create the IEP and move forward with that evaluation, still disagree to go get an IEE. There's nothing wrong. It's actually smart to go get that second opinion, non-biased. Okay? Because what if something was real? Even if you do agree with the school, what if something was different? What if they found something else? All right? An outside therapist will be easy to get to tell you basically your child has dyslexia, your child has apraxia, your child has dysgraphia, or anything else going on. All right? So it's important to get that second opinion. All right? And it's your child's education, so it's important, okay? That's not meaning if you agree with your school's assessment, that doesn't mean that you're saying screw you or, we don't believe you. You're not saying that at all. You're just saying I don't agree because you want to go get an IEE and get that second opinion. And you're allowed to do that. That is your right. And, it's really important. It's kind of like if you go to the doctor and they diagnose you with something that may be life-threatening, etc., of course you're going to go get a second opinion because it's just important for us to know just in our gut, in our hearts that, okay, this is what I'm dealing with, Same thing with our kids, the school assesses them and comes to a conclusion and you have a discussion, but then you go and get that IEE to hopefully get the same information and you know what you're dealing with versus, what if you got different information? Then you got to start asking the questions of, well, why was the IEE different from the school? Which one makes the most sense? What do I need to do so that I can make sense of them both because they're complete opposite? It's important to do that, okay? They can disagree to pay for the IEE. And if they do disagree, they have to file for due process. They have two choices. They agree or they file for due process. I don't mean threaten due process. I don't mean talk about due process. I mean they actually have to file for due process. Okay? And very rarely do they do that. I think I've heard of it once. So if you guys have ever had that happen, please let me know because I've only heard of it once. And that's it. So who wants to go pay, in a due process hearing when the school systems typically are a bureaucracy? Why would they want to pay $250,000 to $500,000 when they could pay for an IEE? That would be completely stupid. And then they'd have to take you to due process and prove that their assessment was 100% on point. And nobody can prove 100%. All right. So post a 1 below if you're new, first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. And remember, we talked for a long time on Monday, like an hour and 10 minutes. So tonight we are talking short but sweet, okay? So if you have questions, post them, all right? And let me know. Post any kind of crazy assessment story you have, all right? Tell me something that would blow our minds, kind of like the one I just told you that I'm dealing with due process, which was so crazy. I still am trying to digest it. I've actually not ever heard of a school system lying point blank. I mean, who says that they did an assessment for 4 days and 3 of the days the parents literally were physically at the doctor? I mean, that's just blows my mind. All right. So you guys want to hear my story from tonight? All right. So I went to an IEP meeting today, and this was our second IEP meeting. And the first IEP meeting was a shit show, and so was today. And so let me just explain something really quick. And this isn't all teams. A lot of teams, like, we may argue in the beginning, but then we at least come to some neutral standing where we're having a discussion, which is the important part. All right. So this team specifically the assistant principal, they're very rude. All right. I'm very abrasive. All right. So I know that I come out the gate like this because I usually go into thank you for sharing. That's right. I forgot. Share, guys, so you can go into the hat and get free stuff. But you know, I'm not rude. I am assertive, but I am not rude. And if I state something, it's a fact, not my opinion, because my opinion does not matter. And so the first thing a lot of school systems will do with me is they'll try to just directly talk to the parent. And when parents hire me, they want me to take over. We've already had 50 million conversations. So they know I've got their back. And so the school system purposely disregards at first until they're put on point. All right. And the parents put them on point. I put them on point. And that's that. Then the last time we met, they were very argumentative. And if they wanted to run the meeting, and at first I'll sit back and see what they're going to do. But then anytime we would chime in, the parent and myself, and this happened the last time and today, anytime we would chime in to say, no, we're not moving on, because they kept wanting to move it on. It drives me freaking nuts. If anything's going to piss me the hell off, it's a team member trying to keep pushing it off. And I'll tell you, it is a refusal on the school's end to allow the parent to participate as an equal team member if they are pushing things along and not answering your question. All right? So they wanted to keep pushing it on, keep pushing it. Oh, we'll get there. No, we're going to talk about it right now. And so the last meeting I had recorded, and we had, gone through some things, and we agreed with certain things. And then they sent the IEP to us, and it was bullshit. It was nothing about what we agreed to. And then we sent multiple emails. Then we meet again. All right. And then today they want to pull the same thing of interrupting. We were speaking, and then they wanted to interrupt us and tell us we'll get there. We were really going after the OT, unfortunately. I've actually never really gone after an OT before. I've had words with speech and OT, but never really gone after them. Let me tell you why, so you understand I went after this damn OT. First, she used why the student should, now in the IEP and all the documentation, mind you, it says that the child has multiple issues in OT type arena. Fine motor, gross motor, writing, okay? Issues across the board. All right? Then the school system wanted to protect this OT when we were asking her questions. And she kind of shut down because she didn't want to answer the questions. Then she made the comment on how this is a global thing. I'm sorry, I thought we were talking about an individual child. I didn't know we were talking about a global thing. That kind of blew my mind. Like, I didn't even know what to say to that, because how the hell did an IEP, as an individual, become global? Then, when the parents questioned her, she actually said that the reason why she wouldn't recommend a second day is because it's her job to work with the teacher. It's up to the teacher. It's her job to work with. The child needs an extra day, but it's your job to work with the teacher. What? Your documents say that this child has issues, but you're going to say it's your job to work with the damn teacher? Of course it's your job to work with the damn teacher, but that has nothing to do with his individual needs. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, first this is a global issue. Then it's not any longer about the child. It is no longer about the child. It is solely about the OT working with the teacher and not the child. I'm super confused. So at this point, I text the parent. I say, I'm done. Like, what do you want me to do here? Because I'm talking to a wall, and they were talking to a wall. And I'll tell you something. A good advocate knows when to shut it down, when it's just not working. All right? So let me explain myself here. There's situations where you will find yourself, and I go head to head with school systems all the time. Are they fun? No. But they usually come out where I could easily say, oh, I won. No, I didn't win. The child won. Okay? And we always come together at the end, typically. All right? We may go head to head. We may have words, but we always typically come together at the end because it's about the child. It's not about me. It's not about me being a great big B. It's not about them being a great big B or A's or whatever. You know what I'm saying? What it's about at the end of the day is the child. All right? Because you can go head to head all you want. That's going to happen. There's going to be that power struggle. And there's going to be that argument, if you will. I mean, you guys argue with them. You know what I mean? So you put me in the ball game and we're definitely going to argue. But it should never be to the point where a therapist is talking about this being a global issue, or that her job is to work with the teacher, and that was her reasoning to not provide another day of 30 minutes of OT. Now here's the funny part. Okay, this really caught me off guard. Then she says when because she kept turning her screen off because we were attacking her, is what she said. We weren't attacking her. She didn't want to answer a damn question. When we said to her, because, you know, sometimes you just got to get real. So this is what I said to her. I said, just be honest. What do you think that he needs? Based off your documentation in 2019 and 2020, what do you really think he needs? And I kind of could tell she thought about it for a second, and that's what led me to believe the school system was texting her, because she kept looking down at her phone or something, okay? And the school system, I could tell, was texting. Then they were kind of laughing and turning off their screen. And so I knew something was going on, all right? And this is unfortunate because I could tell I got to her, and I could tell that she shut off her screen and the parents got to her, and she shut off her screen because we attacked her. And we attacked her by saying, what do you really believe? This is what you wrote. How can you say he only needs one time a week at 30 minutes? Are you serious? And she said we were attacking her. And so whatever. If that's attacking to you, so sorry. Not my problem. Good luck if somebody ever does really attack you, because if me asking you a question, a direct question, I expect an answer. I'm not a person that if I ask you a question, I want an answer. We're not moving on until you answer my question. We will not move on. We will sit there for 2 hours if you don't answer my question. I'm not moving on. You are going to answer my question. You are not going to tell the parent, which is what they did. All right. And me be okay with it. They told them that, but I'm not okay with it. And the parents aren't okay with it. They said, so the parents said, we don't agree with that. And so the OT said, well, that's my professional opinion of 21 years experience. So then I said, I don't care how much experience you have. You could have 50 years, 20 years, 10. I don't care. This is a bad judgment call. So I don't care how much experience you have, And so then she says, I'll give him an extra 15 minutes. We're asking for a damn hour, and you're going to say, oh, okay, I'll give him 15 more minutes. So, of course, we get this on recording, and, she really screwed herself here. And I'll tell you how. I let this one go, meaning I texted the parents and said, I'm done. This is too much of a power struggle, and it's not healthy. And that's an important thing to remember. Sometimes you have to table that meeting. And the reason for that is because it's not going anywhere. And, you know, what really set the meeting off in the beginning was the parents and I had requested 3 hours of a meeting. They approved it, you know, and I always say 3 hours. So I'll say, you know, what date works for you? You know, I'll work with you with whatever date that works. If this doesn't work for you, I get, you know, 3 hours, you have a bunch of people to deal with. Just let me know what works. Because I know if I'm asking for an extensive amount of time, I need to work with them to help them with that. I don't have a problem with that at all. And they agreed on it. And then when we got to the meeting, they said we had an hour. So I, of course, made it known of what had happened. And we went back and forth about that. So it was just a big shit show. And so I said to the parents, because this was our second time at the table, and the school did agree to everything other than one item in the first meeting that was recorded. So now the second meeting, it was nothing like the first. They didn't even address the first meeting. And finally we get to the teacher, where she and I actually did collaborate a little bit. And she's going to be emailing me, and I think we'll be fine there, because finally I said, I'm going to just say this out loud to the parents and to you. I'm a parent. Take away that I'm a advocate. If it were me, I would put in a request for due process, and that's the route I would go, because this is insane. I said, I'm not dealing with this. And, you know, it's up to the parents of what they want to do, which they were on the same side as I was, obviously. But it's just not okay. You can't accept when a school system does that. I don't know if they were just jerks. I don't know if they're just not used to being challenged and it was like a power struggle to them. And it's really frustrating, not only for the parents, but as an advocate, to have a team deny a student something when the documents were there. You know what I mean? Which led me to say, let's go to due process. Screw them, you know? And so we're really more than likely not going to go to due process. We will more than likely settle in mediation. But how stupid is that? You know, and that's a frustrating thing. I'm sure for you, it is for me. But yet I know how to turn it off and advise the parent of what the next steps will be. And typically things come to a head and work themselves out. But it's not without a pure all-out fight. And this isn't all the time, but it's super frustrating at having to deal with that occasionally. And I've had so many wins that to have this, for me, it's like a setback, you know, because I like to be transparent with things. I'm always upfront with my parents. I let them know, here's the pros and here's the cons. If you want my opinion as a parent, this is what I would personally do. I have personally, you know, put in requests for due process. I personally, you know, squashed it, and it came to a head, and it worked itself out very quickly. But no one wants to go through that, you know, and it's not fair to the parent, and it's not fair to the child. And all we're trying to do is benefit the child. So with that said, if you have any questions, if you find yourself in that situation, it's really important to understand that it's not a loss at all, okay? Because at the end of the day, at the wrap up of the meeting, not the assistant principal, I don't even want to deal with her again, but the LEA that was there, you could tell he kind of went silent at that end, you know? The principal was a takeover kind of person, which we're removing her from the team, by the way. And they think that they can just get away with things and not respect the parent and the parent's rights. And that's where things have to be stopped. Okay? So make sure, number one, that you get your IEEs. All right? Make sure that you don't just accept their evaluation. That doesn't mean you have to completely disagree or anything like that. It just means get that second opinion. and make sure that caps are not put on your IEEs. Okay? And you are more than welcome. There's no law that says that you have to match what they did in their IEE. If you want to add 2, 3, 4, 5 more things, you can. Now, they can say no, but they shouldn't have a reason to at all. And if they say no, challenge that. And they shouldn't say no because, one, they already did an evaluation. Things could come to a head that, hey, more need to be done. We need to find out more about this, that, and the other. And so, really think about the things that you're doing and that they're responding to, and the things that you're accepting that they're saying, and that it's not accurate. I'm finding more and more that school systems are passing information along to parents as if it is the truth, or as if it's the law and what has to happen. And they'll even say that, well, we're not allowed to do that. And this team even said, oh, we're not allowed to do assessments until the school reopens. I said, oh, that's interesting, because I'm working with 6 other California districts, and they all did the assessments. All of them. No problem. None. At all. But then this school says, oh, we can't do it until they return to school, which can't be said. And OSEP even put out a letter saying that if the school system cannot do the evaluation, they have to approve an IEE. If they refuse to do it. But the other schools, they actually are bringing the children in just individually. They're doing it in different rooms or whatever with no other students there. And the assessments are being done. They haven't given any problem to that. Not even a word. As I've told you guys, the only thing we've been arguing about that has always been fine is the type of assessment. I've fought for the type of assessment and the type of assessment being put in the consent. But never has anybody argued with me about an assessment. Only the type of assessment and that type being put into the consent. That's what they argued. And so it's interesting that the school system is doing that, because what makes your district different than 6 other districts in California? There's nothing different. So they're just wanting to be very difficult, and it's very, very unfortunate that you have certain school systems that will just not want to do what's right by the children. And if you live in the LA school district, message me. I would love to talk with you. So, all right, guys, do you have questions? So now you have IEEs, no caps. Caps cannot be put on it. They can't say, oh, well, you can only spend $1,500 on a psycho ed. You can only spend $500 on a speech. You can only spend $300 on an OT. They cannot do that. Okay? So if you're new to Catching Me Live, post a 1 below, say hello, and make sure you join the group. Go to search and put Autism Mama Rocks IEP group, and post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Okay? All right. All right. Hi, Mercedes and Maria. Hey, Tara. How are you? Long time. Michelle and Maria, welcome. And Kelly Ann, welcome. Felicia, welcome. And Cynthia, welcome. Nadia, hello. My district sent me a packet saying that, but I told them which doctor I want to use that is over the cap, waiting for official approval. Good. And don't let them deny it. Okay? Felicia says, I know what an IEP is. What is an IEE? That's it. Independent Education Evaluation. So it's like an evaluation you get in the school, like a complete evaluation, but it's independent, where you get to go with whoever you choose. Cindy says, Felicia, Anthony Wilson, independent eval. Oh, here. Okay. Thank you for helping. Cynthia says independent eval at public expense. Yep. Yasmin says hello, hello. Then there's the time when they purposely leave specific type of assessments requested out. Yep. Can the school disagree to pay for an IEE because they believe their assessment is accurate? If they do, they have to take you to due process. Hey, Kim, how are you? Shelly says, I have one done with my son's doctor at Kennedy Krieger, and his IEP would look at it. I guess the IEP team, is that what you're saying? Would look at it and would not consider any recommendations. Well, that is a violation of your rights. So that is not okay. And I'm seeing that a lot. So you have to, just like this team today, they literally took away the parents' rights to advocate at all. They took away the parents' rights to participate at all because they kept shutting them up and shutting me up. And we couldn't ask questions, and they couldn't, and it was, even though they didn't really shut me up, it was not getting to be about the student. It was this back and forth, and it was insane. And so it was one of those things where, you gotta nix that really quick. And that's why sometimes requesting due process and going to mediation is a good thing, because you kind of have that mediator there to neutralize things, but they don't really do anything. They're just there. And then either an advocate and attorney or two attorneys are talking and, going through the negotiation process. Hi, Karina. How are you? And Leah, welcome, welcome. Hi, Michelle. Shelly. And wow, look at all you guys. Oh my God, I'm scrolling and scrolling. Oh, thank you, Michelle. And Kimberly, welcome. All right. And yes. Oh my God, Fancy, I'm sorry. I'm like, yes, what? That name again. April, I'm new and shared. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing, Fancy, and Mercedes and Anna. Hey, Chaz, how are ya? And we got April. Thank you, Tess. Thank you, thank you. I hate to see the day a true attack. I know, man. I mean, this OT was, whatever. I'm not gonna. It is what it is. What are caps? Caps is when, they say we'll only spend this much on this test and this much on this test. They cap it off at a dollar amount. Yeah, you can remove people from the team. Yeah. And that we're removing them from the team because they emotionally affected the parents and myself. And the parent has extreme anxiety when this person talks and is present. And so, because mental health, guys, is so very important, the mother and the father can no longer hold an IEP meeting and adequately participate in the IEP meeting because of the stress and anxiety and turmoil that this team member put them through. You're welcome, Liz. How often can they retest your child? In Illinois, does anyone? Every year. So you can request a reevaluation every single year, and a triennial is every 3 years. And so I have actually 2 parents that I'm dealing with right now. 2, not 1, 2, where the school system told them that they weren't going to do the triennial because they were going to wait till the child was 10. I mean, is balloons going to fly in the sky and whales learn to walk at 10? I mean, Is there something really cool going to happen when this child turns 10 that all of a sudden this assessment's allowed? The triennial? Like, I don't get it. You know, what school system? Oh, we're going to wait till they're 10. Sorry for your luck. We're not going to do the triennial. We're going to wait till your child's 10. What? I mean, that's just crazy. Crazy. I mean, the things they think are insane. Insane. I'm going to talk to you guys the next time we talk. I'm going to go live, all right, tomorrow on the group. So if you haven't joined the group, Autism on Rocks IEP group, all right, I'm going to have no makeup on like I don't now, all right, and I'm going to be drinking my coffee, probably in a tank top, my favorite thing to wear, and we're going to chit-chat probably about 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, all right? And it'll be more of a Q&A. I'm going to talk. I'm going to give you guys information. And I'm going to tell you about a due process hearing that blew California right out the park. And so it's something that I'm going to, and I'm going to do it on my group because I'm not going to do it public. Okay? So if you want to join my group, you can join my group. And the reason we accept people to the group is because we want you on the group. But does my team extensively get to know people who want to join? Absolutely, because we don't want certain people joining. For example, team members that I've worked with before, or I'll have parents say, hey, is this person part of your group? Because they're part of their team, and a parent doesn't feel comfortable with that. And why wouldn't they? I would feel uncomfortable with that too. So we monitor the group very carefully. And so that's very important to us. You know, we don't want, if a parent is on my group, that's more important to me than them feeling uncomfortable that someone part of their IEP team is on the group. And then they don't feel like they can talk. And I don't want that. So we're very particular about that. So if you want to join the group, Autism on Rocks IEP group, it's an amazing place to really collaborate. I am going to be traveling this coming spring. I am very excited about that. I have no plans yet. I actually just posted yesterday on the page and the group, which the group blew the heck up. The page only has kind of a few, I think, but the group has a lot, and everybody's posting where they're from. And then what I'm going to do is I will be looking at the different states and the different areas, and I will be calling around to get a venue, which I already have one in California. Okay. It's in San Diego. One of my clients works and is pretty high up in the military base there in San Diego, right on the water. So they have an amazing venue that we're going to use. And so if you're in California, make sure you come and join us. I will be putting things out on Eventbrite, and it'll be a good day. All right. It's not going to be anything grand and huge, but it's going to be very low key because we already have enough stress in our life. And I just want to be able to talk to you, not be on, a huge stage with all this. That's not me. So me, you're going to get me. You're not going to get some exaggerated, huge show. So my thing is I want to be there to talk about IEPs, we'll have a Q&A session. I'm actually even thinking about putting you guys into groups. Oh yeah, I'm really thinking this through because I want to really teach you how to become the CEO, and role play is the way to do it. And so I'm kind of creating, how the day will look so that you leave really having something that you can do something with, and use, where you had me in the person and you're able to really take what you learned and actually implement it in your IEP. And so that's what's important to me, is for you guys to be able to take something, I look at it as I'm very picky. And, you know, whether it came to my kids' daycare or whatever, I'm very picky. And so I look at it as, okay, what would I want to have as a takeaway? So that's something I'm going to actually be posting to you guys. What is it that would be the most important takeaway for you when you leave at the end of the day? All right before dinner, what is going to be the most important takeaway for you? Because I want it to be really worth your while and fun, you know, where it won't be a stressful thing, but we'll have mock IEPs, and I'll even be picking certain people to be certain people, and we'll really make it fun, but a learning experience, along with the fact that I'll have several topics that we'll talk about. I'll have a Q&A session, and it'll be a really good time. So hopefully, guys, you really enjoy it, and you go over to the group and post where you're from, because I think it would be an amazing thing. And the more we can teach each other, and the more we can share all of this, the more we're going to hopefully create change within our school systems, and it work for our children and not so much against them. Okay. So hi, Marlene. How are you? And April, how often? So every year. So I answered your question. Letty, up to what age does the school district have to provide a related service to students enrolled in a private school? Until they're out of school. So children with special needs can be in school till they're 22. My school is saying they don't offer vision therapy. Well, they have to. I mean, they have to offer the therapy, but they may be telling the truth that they've never done it, you know? So there's a different verbiage for it. They may not have a vision therapist. They may not have done it. It may be something new to them, but they do have to provide what's needed and appropriate. Yeah, Karina, message me. We'd love to talk with you. Well, I grew up in Maryland, Shelly, and I'm not too far from you. I have family in Maryland, so I'm in Virginia, so we ain't far. Maryland's a state I'm going to go to if there's enough people. That's an easy. Maryland, North, the ones I know 100% I'll be going to, but I still want you guys to go post, okay? Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, New York, Ohio, Texas, Georgia, Florida, California. Those are my 100% right now. All right. And so you guys got to post. All right. If I didn't mention your state, you got to keep posting and post, you know, get with your friends on, you know, if you guys are members of, you know, groups, special needs groups, and know other moms that are dealing with IEP stuff, you know, it's up to you to share it. I'm in Kern County, and they are worse in LAUSD. Yeah, it's horrible, horrible there. And it's because they're a big county and they think they get to run the show. Hi, Amanda. Hi, baby. How are you? Am I saying your name right? I always ask you that. So I have requested an assessment, and they want to do it online. No. Is that right to do? Our schools are all closed. So no, you don't want to do that. And they can actually bring your child into the school individually and have them assessed. Okay. If not, say if you're unable to provide my child an assessment, then I need to get an IEE and you need to pay for it. Hi, Crystal. How are you? When your child's doing assessment before they do it, you can ask what type of assessment each person's using. Can you ask them to give you like 24 hours to see if that's best for your child, to make sure it's the correct, so that you get a whole picture. Yeah, but I don't see you guys coming together again in 24 hours. I don't think that's going to be productive, just doing it by phone and whatnot. So I technically or personally would say you're already on a computer, Google it. You know what I mean? So, like right now, you're on with me live. You could be Googling the C Top 2. You could be Googling the Wyatt, the Whisk 5, the Basque. Okay? You see what I'm saying? So, just Google it. Put yourself on mute for a second and Google it. Tell them, say, can you give me 2 minutes and put yourself, change your picture and put it on mute and Google it. All right? But you listen to me, so you should go back to that live that I did, that I went through every single assessment that I believe is very, very, very important. I'm sure there's more, but that's just, Can you guys see like the air? Look, I have my like diffuser. I was like, they probably think I'm like smoking or something. No, got my diffuser going. All right. What is the time frame for and response after you sent them the place you'd like to go? Well, they give you a consent that you can get your assessments. So once you pick your person, all you do is contact the school and let them know. That's it. There's no permission. You just let them know. And then they contact each other and talk and whatever. Or sometimes the schools will give you a sheet. When you have conflicting test information, does a team decide which test result represents the child's ability the best? It's always theirs. Come on, guys. You have to be able to dissect it. You have to just put it into your minds that you have to become this expert of what's going on. Have an overview with your therapist, psychologist, whomever does the assessment on the outside. Have them literally go through with you, word for word, what that assessment says. Record it and listen to it over and over. If you have more questions, call them so that you completely understand it. And that's important because to be able to persuade, my PPPN system, right? In my Rock the IEP course, I teach you that whole system, which is plan and prepare, present, persuade, and negotiate. If you know how to present, you got to plan and prepare. You don't do that, you're going to fail. But then you got to be able to persuade and negotiate. And if you don't present it right, you're not going to be persuading and negotiating because you're going to be stuck on the sucky presentation. So it's super, super, super important to understand that process. That's why I registered it. I didn't trademark it. I registered that sucker because it's such a fluent system and it works. And that doesn't mean you walk out of an IEP every time. I mean, don't believe anybody who says they do, guys, okay? Don't believe anybody who says that. But you're not going to always walk out of an IEP with this amazing IEP. Sometimes you have to go back to the table. Sometimes you actually have to take it another step and you have to, go to mediation or go to due process. And I'm one, I file for due process, a request for due process, and hope we settle in mediation, but it has to be a due process case, it has to have the type of violations that would work for a due process case. Any type of 504 violation is a due process case. Any type of 504 violation. That's a big deal. And, the failure to provide what's appropriate and an adequate IEP. That's one of the number one things that the school system fails to do. And that's important. You know, it's the failure to provide an adequate IEP in lieu of the student's circumstances and for them to be able to progress in the educational setting. And that is so important. So important. All right. That by itself is reason for FAPE. And typically when that happens, you have other things anyway, you know? So you'll have things like, you know, service issues or, you know, a 504 issue or assessment issue. You know, there's so many issues that can happen. And it's just really important to be able to be okay with fighting for what is right and what your child needs. And sometimes it's hard to decide which route to go, you know, but sometimes it's just about doing what you've got to do so that you're not wasting any more time to get your child what they need. And that's super important. One of the first things I put, and I'll read this to you. All right, as a major issue, all right, for what would be in a due process request. I put this in every single due process request as the major issue, okay? And this is what I say. The school district failed to devise, I'm reading it. The school district failed to devise appropriate IEPs for the student in the least restrictive environment and or reasonably calculated for the student to make progress appropriate in light of his or her circumstances. This resulted in a denial of a free, appropriate public education and harm to the student, significantly impeding the student's and parents' opportunity to participate in the decision-making process and has caused a deprivation of educational benefits for the student. And then you put the years. And that is the number one complaint in all due process requests. Okay? And that is what's called the major issue. And then you follow up your major issues with what's called sub-issues. And those sub-issues are each and every other issue that can come into play. Like, for example, the district failed to provide a qualified student with a disability FAPE, including the provisions of related aids and services designated to meet the student's individual needs in violation of Section 504, Regulation 34, CFR 104.33. All right, that is a 504 violation within itself, okay? And then you can notate each and every violation within the 504 if you have them, if you have multiple, if you have one, whatever. But that is the verbiage, if you will. But a lot of things, you know, go wrong, and you want to just make sure that you're on top of it. Okay. If you have any questions, let me know. But yeah, I know a lot of things are going on right now, guys. I know it's so frustrating. So it is. I get it. I asked my ARC members to add an educational diagnostician, and they told me no, because they don't have one, and the achievement and compliance coach does that job. Why would they need to add an educational diagnostician? We were just talking about that. When you have a conflicting test, okay, I answered that one. All right. Would you ask SELPA for tests? Okay, Dinah. Good luck. Wow, they're telling me every 3 my child needs another one. One, they do it every year, but the 3-year one should be more often because things change. Yeah, the 3 year is the triennial. Kentucky, huh? And Oklahoma. Well, I'm going to Texas. Technically, you could come see me in Texas. And yes, I'm going to Dallas, and I'm going to probably Austin because my dad's in Dallas, my brother's in Austin, so why the hell not? I'll go to both. You know? Um um what are you talking about, Fancy? We need you in Coatesville, PA. Where's that at? I mean, PA is not far from me. I think like 6 hours. Because East Coast, I'm going to drive. That's funny, Chess. Inner joke, guys. Inner joke. That made me laugh out loud. I'm late. Hope you're having a great night. Thanks, Stephanie. I hope you're having a great night too. So yes, guys, I'll think about PA. If you get some people together, Ruby, I'll think about that because that's not far. When I go West Coast, that's when it's going to be a big deal where people are going to need to. I'd like to go to Washington State, so I'm hoping Yasmin gets people going there. Like I have a couple people, but if you guys know people in your area, you're going to need to get them, like have them like the group, and then, you know, when I put out the link for the Eventbrite, um, well, Yasmin, I kind of want to go to that market in Seattle. So when I come see you guys, I'm going to also tour because I haven't been to a lot of these places. So if anybody wants to be my tour guide, that would be cool. Someone said to me today, I think it was Viviana, she's in California. She made a post on the group, if maybe some of you guys saw. She said, "Hey, let's just have a girls' night and go to Vegas, and then have our IEP stuff." I was like, "Well, that sounds fun." Because, you know, us moms need breaks too. So how fun would it be to make it, you know? You contacted the state and then nothing. Is that what you're saying, Tess? That's not necessarily, you know, backfiring. But typically they're busy, so unless like you put in a complaint and stuff like that, I mean, they're not always on it, I guess would be the word. I don't think it would be like they're not against you or anything like that, you know? Um, no, I can't do incense. I have to do natural, like essential oils. See? I love my oils, y'all. So I have lavender and peppermint going right now. I love my oils. Very much involved in the oil community. So you're welcome to PM me if you like oils too. I don't really talk about oils here on the page, but you know, if you're interested. All right. If a child was enrolled in public school, receiving speech, OT, and PT, parents decide to enroll him in private school, does the school district discontinue anything? Well, Letty, if you just withdrew your child and did not give your 10-day and have a powwow about the school system paying for private school, then yep, you basically withdrew your child from public school. That's exactly what happened. What is the difference between assessment and triennial? Well, their evaluations, all right, tests, assessments are done, which are your evaluations of your child. And basically what happens is, and a triennial is the same thing. It's just triennials every 3 years. That's all it is. Does that make sense? People have asked me that, you know, like if they've left the district. I mean, if it's in the last 2 to 3 years, then sure. You know? So, I'm looking at something for a second. Hang on. Okay, let me tell you something. There's 2 reasons, all right, that you can ask for over 2 years for due process. All right. One is your school district misrepresented that it had resolved the issues identified in the request. So whatever you put in your request for due process, if that's something you've already addressed with the school system and they reassured you and said that it was resolved and now it's back on the table, that's number 1. All right. Number 2 is the district withheld information that it was required to provide to you under IDEA. So all my clients have that, don't you? So if you request, for example, a FERPA request, all right, and the school system did not provide all the documentation that you asked for, that's withholding information that they were required to provide, which would grant you, if the hearing officer allows it, more time to your due process, which is more than 2 years. So for those 2 reasons and those 2 reasons alone can it be extended. Okay, so if the district misrepresented that they had resolved something that is now in the due process request, or they withheld information that they were required to provide you under IDEA. Those are the 2 reasons that you can, or I would, when I request due process, I request more time if either of those 2 reasons can be supported. All right. And the easiest one is withholding information. So a lot of parents typically will request many things and they'll come to me and say, they never gave it to me. I asked them 100 times and they never gave it to me. So, all right, guys, it's getting late. So what I want you to do is go join the group if you haven't joined the group. I know we have a lot of new people on here, and I want you guys to be part of the group. So just put in the search bar, Autism Mama Rocks, the IEP group, and join the group. Post a 1 below if you're catching the replay. Post a 2 below if you're catching a replay. And a 1 is for if it's your first through third time. A 2 is if you're an oldie but goodie. Make sure you guys say hi. All right? And make sure on the group you go and respond, or even here on the page, but it would be better on the group, where you're from and if you're interested in me coming there in the spring, okay, to do a workshop with you guys. Speak in the meetings and have them go over assessments clearly as I didn't understand. They refuse to talk about the outside medical assessment and ADHD of how it impedes education. Yet they don't have to do that, Tess. They do not have to do that. That is not their job. They are not allowed actually to do that. All right. So one of the first things the state will say is they are not there, even though when you make complaints, the people who review your complaint, they're attorneys, but they're not your attorney. Okay. So they cannot advise you in a legal sense. Okay. Or, you know, give you information. They don't work for you, so they can't. And it sucks. I get it. You know, you'd think that this DOE would be people that offer information or whatever. But I mean, if you called, like, for example, you know, for due process, they'll give you, you know, usually your state's rules, regulations, whatever, but you can pull that off online, you know, or, you know, if you, have a question. Like, I've filed state complaints so many times, and I've called the person that is handling the state complaint, because there was one state complaint I made years ago, and oh my gosh, Dinah, I would love it. I love San Francisco. I just saw that. Love San Francisco, and I love Little Italy, and I love those what are those Italian things, guys, that, like, they're wrapped up and they have that stuff on the inside. What's that called? A cannoli. They have the best cannolis. Oh my God. There's no other place I've been that has cannolis like Little Italy in San Diego or San Francisco. Oh God, they were so good. But that would be cool too, guys, because it's kind of neat, because, you know, at least my group, and I know many of you here on my group, that we've, like, gotten to know each other, you know? And I know many of us support each other. So it would be super, super, super cool to meet you guys. And it would be really neat to not just have a workshop, but yeah, you know, I'm totally down to earth, guys. I really am. So we could, you know, go to dinner, or, you know, if you wanted to do something for the day, because I know that I'm not going to be in those places just for one day and then I'm out. You know, I'll probably stay a couple days and, you know, enjoy myself for a little bit and then go, you know. But in the spring, I am going to back to back it, but I'm going to spread it out, because if not, I would get sick, you know, because you know how when you travel, you kind of get, like, at least I do, you know, my stomach gets all funky because it's, you know, new food or different food, or, you know, then shoot, you go from East Coast to West Coast, the air changes. It's just different. Oils are helpful when my kiddo is 26 months. Yeah, I love my oils. Yeah, Ruby, let me know. Let me know. All right. You have a wonderful evening too, Kim. Thanks, Stephanie. All right, awesome, Crystal. That's awesome. April says he has an IEP English, reading, and math, but he has always failed in science, social studies, and history, yet they say he can't get help in those classes. Do you believe that? Recently, I've been taking my son to see a former pediatric nurse who is now a chiropractor and getting a half-hour massage twice a month. It's helping his digestive, and I see a slight difference in his focus. I hope it eventually attempt acupuncture as he ages, matures. That's great. I love that. I actually do something called the Aroma Touch on Skylar. It's with essential oils, and it gets the nervous system moving, and is really good for her as far as relaxation. It's great. You can actually look it up. It's called Aroma Touch. All right, guys. Okay, Teresa. All right, guys, it's getting late. I'm exhausted, and I got to get up at 4 in the morning to finish a complaint, and then I have a 4-hour with a client, and then I have to start writing my requests. All right, guys. Have a good night. The school definitely doesn't like me. Yeah. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Have a good night. Bye-bye.